We're in the Lower East Side of Manhattan, America's original melting pot. The tenements behind me were built by the thousands throughout New York, and especially in this neighborhood, to cash in on this wave of immigration of new Americans. They were extremely crowded. The rents were not cheap. It was up to the immigrants themselves to bring in boarders, sometimes whole families of boarders. Imagine life without electricity, without running water. It was a struggle.
We are at 97 Orchard Street, the Tenement Museum's landmark tenement, home to an estimated 7,000 people, mostly immigrants from over 20 different nations between 1863 when it was built and 1935 when it was closed as a residence. Visitors to the Tenement Museum tour this building and see the recreated and unrestored spaces made to represent the homes of the former actual residents of this building.
The most interesting part of the tenement tour was the depth of knowledge that the tour guide had of the people that actually lived here. And there was one piece where they actually had audio tape of one of the granddaughters of the original people that they were talking about during the tour. Very interesting.
The neighborhood wasn't just poverty and misery and desperation. It was also a culturally rich hubbub of activity. The Gershwins were here performing. Irving Berlin played in the local saloons. Tap dance originated in the Lower East Side. The neighborhood still retains a lot of local flavor. We're here in front of one of the traditional Lower East Side pickle stores.
Well, this business has been around for quite a while. I mean, the original store's been around since 1910. We offer 7 different types. You got sour pickles, 3/4 sour, half sour, and new pickles, which I don't have any because I'm waiting for a delivery of cucumbers. Then you also got hot sour pickles, hot half sour pickles, and horseradish pickles. How about you, buddy? You want a pickle? You sure?
Behind me is a piece of old history, the Eldridge Street Synagogue, the first synagogue built by European Jews for their own worship.
The synagogue was built in 1887 by East European Jews. It was momentous because this was the first synagogue built by East European Jews in America. Visitors are often surprised to see a synagogue in the middle of Chinatown. We've left this section of the sanctuary undone to remember what the sanctuary looked like at a time it wasn't maintained. When visitors come to Eldridge Street, we have them sit down on the historic benches and ask them to rub their feet on the floorboards in front of their benches. And in doing so, they find grooves. And those grooves are the footsteps of the congregants who worshipped here 100 years ago.
This neighborhood is rich in history and full of firsts. Seward Park here is the first municipal playground following the 1901 law that considered whether every neighborhood should have parks, playgrounds, a bathhouse. This was the beginning of urban planning in New York. This working-class neighborhood was also the heart of the labor movement in New York. Behind me is the Forward building. Forward was a labor-oriented newspaper printed originally in Yiddish. This was the radical hub of intellectual life in the Jewish Lower East Side. Leon Trotsky, just before the revolution, came here to produce a newspaper, and he would have a glass of tea at the Garden Cafe, just down the block. Come to the Lower East Side and learn about the immigrant roots of America.